demons being released from a bottomless pit to terrorize the entire earth. Today on the RC Daily Bread. All right. So, yeah, we got some interesting stuff today. And I'm going to try and move through it all. It's actually a bunch of scripture, so I shouldn't really be wasting my time. But kick like if you like understanding the Bible. And say hi. So, Revelation chapter 9. I'm going to read the first 12 verses, and then we're just going to go over it all and tackle this beast and go through a bunch of other scriptures to help us understand what's going on. Then the fifth angel sounded, and a star fallen from heaven. I saw a star fallen from heaven to the earth. To him was given the key of to the bottomless pit, and he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke arose out of the pit, like the smoke of a great furnace. So the sun and the air were darkened because of the smoke of the pit. Then out of the smoke locusts came upon the earth, and to them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. They were commanded not to harm the grass, the earth, or any green thing, or any tree, but only those men who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads. And they were not given authority to kill them, but to torment them for 5 months. Their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man. In those days, men will seek death and will not be able to find it. They will desire to die, and death will flee from them. The shape of the locust was like horses prepared for battle. On their foreheads were crowns of something like gold. Their faces were like the faces of men. They had hair like women's hair, and their teeth were like lions' teeth. And they had breastplates like the breastplates of iron. The sound of their wings was like the sound of chariots with many horses running into battle. They had tails like scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and the power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew was Abaddon, but in Greek he has the name Apollyon. One woe is past. Behold, still 2 more woes are coming after these. All right, so there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Now, much of this, I think, is actually very easy to understand when we have the correlating scriptures. And that's what we're going to jump through today. I'm going to start with what is probably, for many people, the part that they're so excited and interesting about. But to me, it's the part that matters less. So, what do these locust things look like? It's a great question, and it's hard to say. John is describing what he sees. Now, once again, John is describing what he sees. Is John seeing what we're going to see? Well, John is in heaven, seeing the heavenly throne and the heavenly, scene. So we don't know for sure, even if what John is seeing is what we're going to see. But these beasts, obviously, many of these things, speak of, they have the face of men. So it's kind of like, these are an intelligent being. They have these ferocious teeth, breastplates of iron. They're invincible. All these things about these beasts, they're going to be let out of this pit. And there is this angel of the bottomless pit. Now, his name's the Destroyer. Now, once again, it seems as if this is not a good angel, but a bad one. And you have to remember that demons are just fallen angels. But backing up to verse 1, talks about a star falling from heaven. And so it's this is a good example where symbolism or things that represent things, because a star falling from heaven, okay. But then it says, to him, he was given a key. Okay, so the star was a person. And it was probably an angel, because we see Luke 10:18, Jesus refers to Satan falling as a star from heaven. In Revelation 12, referring to the angels, it says that Satan, or the dragon, drew 1/3 of the stars with him. So we know that stars are often symbolic of angels. That's a pretty common thing. But now there's really verse 2, the bottomless pit. And that's what I wanted to try and understand as a whole. Now, we could take it all the way back to the beginning if we'd like to. if you go back to Genesis 6, it talks about the sons of God, and they came to the daughters of men. They bore children. They were the mighty men of old, men of renown. That's right after it talks about how there was giants on the earth in those days, and then more after. So sons of God, B'nai Elohim, B'nai Elohim, it's the Hebrew, it's the son of God, and it's only ever spoken of angels. And it talks about these angels being reserved for a day of judgment. Let's see what the Bible has to say. Isaiah chapter 24. This is where I wish I had my digital Bible because I could just boom, boom, boom through this stuff. But Isaiah chapter 24, verses 21 to 22. It shall come to pass in that day, in the end times, that the Lord shall punish on high the host of exalted ones, and on the earth the kings of the earth, and they will be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and will be shut up in the prison, and after many days they will be punished. So there's going to be angels who are shut up in a pit. Daniel 7. Daniel, there we go. Verses 11 to 12. He says, I watched because of the sound of the pompous words which the horn was speaking. I watched till the beast was slain, its body destroyed and given to the burning flame. As for the rest of the beasts, they had dominion and taken away, and their lives are prolonged for a season and a time. It talks about that final judgment, when and where it's coming. But the idea is binding up beasts and demons. This bottomless pit is a place that obviously the demons were aware of. In Luke chapter 8, verse 31, Legion, the man whom Jesus cast the demons out into the swine, he begs to not be thrown into the abuso, into the bottomless pit, also known as Tartarus. Tartarus in Greek mythology was where the Titans were thrown. What were the Titans? Well, they were like kind of half God and half man, this mix of God and man. It's fascinating that when we look at this idea of these angels being reserved, New Testament scripture gives us two more good verses to have. 2 Peter 2:4. 2 Peter, there we go. 2 Peter 2:4 says, for God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell, which is Tartarus, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved for judgment. What's fascinating about this is that you could interpret that they're being reserved to be judged. You could also correctly read this as they're being reserved to be used for judgment. Jude, verse 6. It says, and the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. And so the idea there, again, they didn't keep their own domain, the place where they were supposed to live and dwell, but left their own abode. Now, abode, oikaterion, there we go. It is a dwelling place, like a tent. It's when Paul speaks about this tent, this place for the Holy Spirit, 2 Corinthians 5:2. That's the same word. It's the idea of like, this is the place that I'm supposed, my own abode, my dwelling place, but they went somewhere else. So this is where you can pair up Genesis 6. This is some of the kind of crazier, deeper study stuff that most people never get into. If you've never been with me before and a study of Genesis 6, that's worth going and at least understanding. Why were there giants in the time of Noah? What does it mean that the sons of God came into the daughters of man? And again, throughout the Old Testament, B'nai Elohim, that Hebrew phrase, sons of God, it's only ever used of angels. So what is it trying to say? And it seems as if back then that, that angels were coming down, fallen angels, the one who fell with Satan, and they were trying to procreate with mankind. It says that giants were being born, all this crazy stuff. And when God flooded the earth, it's something kind of lost in the English, but it says that Noah was perfect in his genealogy. Noah was perfect in his generations, is what my Bible says. But the literal word is for genealogy there, that Noah had a perfect genealogy. And that while everything else was going kind of weird and wacko on the earth, it seems as if Noah had a pure bloodline, and he's in the bloodline to Christ. And so we see then that these angels were cast into this outer darkness, the abuso, Tartarus, the bottomless pit. The Jewish rabbis used to say that Tartarus, as far as hell, Hades, is below heaven, is how far Tartarus is below Hades. And so, one other just interesting thought: if you were in the absolute center of the earth, technically that's bottomless because every direction is up. Think about it. So, back to Revelation chapter 9. It seems as if God, throughout history, has allowed demons to actually do his bidding. We see in, what is it? 1 Kings 20, 21, 22, 22 maybe? Where Jehoshaphat teams up with Ahab to go out to battle, and Elijah prophesies, or no, yeah, not Elijah, another prophet prophesied that Ahab's going to die. And, or was that one Elijah? Getting fuzzy now. But, and God says, well, who's going to go get Ahab to die? And then a lying spirit, it says, comes in and says, I've got a plan. I'll lie to them all. And I will, and it seems as if that's an evil spirit speaking. We see Satan in the throne room with God at the beginning of the book of Job, and God allows Satan to do some stuff to prove points. And so the Bible shows us that demons have access to heaven. They will for a couple more chapters in our book of Revelation. And God allows demons to wreak havoc when God knows more than the demons, and that it's going to be for the greater good. So all these other demons that over time have been cast into this pit, the place where Legion begged Jesus, don't throw me into the pit. And if you might remember too, Legion tells Jesus, because our time hasn't come yet. The demons know they're on a ticking clock, and they only have so much time before the end comes, and they can't wreak havoc anymore. And so he says, don't cast us in. Put us in the swine. Anything but the Abuso. Anything but Tartarus. And so there are demons there. And it only fits the Bible message perfectly that in here, Revelation chapter 9, this is the pit that's being opened and unlocked. So that's what a very, I think, straightforward understanding of this chapter is. What is it going to look like on the earth? That's what I will say we don't exactly know. I'm not going to rationalize any of this to think that these are trying to describe any kind of real thing. I don't know if this is where I've heard people trying to describe Apache helicopters or something like that. Like, I don't get none of that out of this. I think it's demons being let loose. What I cannot ascertain from the text strictly is what John is seeing from heaven. Is that what we will see on the earth? I don't know. Will we see these beasts the same way that John sees them? I don't know. But I do believe that they will be given the power to torment men, and that they will be let loose like a swarm, and for 5 months just be tormenting mankind on the earth. Maybe they will just look like a crazy, weird locust. And that might sound, strange, but once again, how many of you guys knew about a murder hornet before last year? Remember COVID, and then it's like murder hornets. And that's the kind of thing, is maybe John is just describing what looks like the craziest, gnarliest locusts that we've ever seen. What's funny is they're given 5 months, and most locusts, they live in swarm for about 5 months. So it seems to have the lifespan of an actual locust. But perhaps, again, it's interesting in the Bible, we never see demons in a human body. The possession, right? Demonic possession, that's different. I just mean angels come down looking like men, but demons are always possessing something. Possessing men, possessing swine, possessing a serpent. And so maybe these will be demonically possessed murder locusts. And they're just crazy and huge and different looking. And again, John's trying to describe them. Never seen National Geographic, never been on Google image search. And John's just using the words that he has to describe what it is he's looking at. And so there you go, though. The unlocking of the bottomless pit and all this craziness coming around the world. Hopefully those cross references were good for you, right? 2 Peter 2, 4, Jude 6. Those are important ones to understand this text. And once again, later on during the millennial kingdom in chapter 20, Satan will once again be bound in the pit. So we'll get to that in the future. All right. I will see you guys Monday, and we will probably finish up chapter 9 and the 6th trumpet. So, any prodigals? Sunday morning is going to be awesome. I'm really excited for our text at church Sunday morning as we move through 2 Kings. So most definitely share it if you know anyone who's been gone and needs to come home and maybe feels like they cannot be forgiven, and they need to know that they can be forgiven and that God can still restore that which is left. So should be a great time. You guys have an amazing day. God bless you, and I will see you guys on Monday.